think I figured it out though, but we'll see.
For
live, maybe. Yep.
Yeah, it's for live.
We are live. Hey, Stone Guy 223. Monday night. Appreciate everybody tuning in. I think I finally got this Google shit figured out. I changed it up on me a little bit, but I think I've got it now. So, quick introduction from my left. We've got G.
How's it going?
Just Dano.
Thanks for the invite.
Yep. Got Michael.
What's up, you two, Land?
And Mr. Cork 71.
Hello, folks.
And jumping in fashionably late is Thin Blue.
How's everyone doing?
Good. All right, so I wasn't sure what was going on. I actually thought Florida Carry was doing their chat tonight, so we are. Hey, Stone Guy 223. Dano as usual.
Dano's got his little thing going on.
So yeah, I thought Florida Carry was doing his tonight. It's alternate Monday. This was his actual week, so I was not planning on doing a chat, but anyway, we'll wing it as usual. Just kind of open it up, and maybe a topic will take off, and we can run with that. If not, it might be a short chat. But does anybody have anything pressing or interesting they want to talk about?
Well, I was reading an article today about how the militias, like a bunch of different militias, have been showing up at the border recently to do this and that. But there was a confrontation, I think, yesterday or the day before, where a Border Patrol agent fired on a armed militia member at the border near the Rio Grande Valley. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, I'll get a link for you here. But I think it's an interesting question about like what the role of the militia is doing down there. And the Border Patrol agents were all like, oh, yeah, we don't support anyone like the armed militias being down here. It just kind of confuses people. So I just want to see what y'all's thoughts were on that.
You said the militia opened fire?
Yeah.
Border Patrol opened on the militia.
Yes. Now, if the militia was on public land, it's different than if they're on private land. They're on private land. They have, I'm talking about private land by, owned by one single person or organization. They have the right to be on that land if they have permission from the property owner.
Well, it's on the. I mean, I don't know.
Right. What I'm getting at is their statement. Yeah. If there are a lot of property that borders. Right.
That's what I'm saying. So is it government property that they were standing on, and that's why the border agent fired on them? I mean, obviously.
Well, even the border agent wouldn't have a reason to fire on them unless they were being threatening toward the border agent.
Or maybe it was just confusion. I mean, you think of the amount of cartel, armed cartel and stuff that filters through there. Maybe the border agent thought it was a cartel member trying to come across, or.
They said that it's there is a group of agents have been chasing a group of immigrants east of Brownsville when one of the agents saw someone holding a firearm.
There you go.
And then the agent fired, but he didn't hit him. But
it still doesn't matter. He still fired on somebody that wasn't posing. At least I'm assuming wasn't posing a direct threat to him.
Well, you gotta take it. They said they were chasing, so you don't know the circumstances of the original chase. If they were chasing members of a group that had just shot and killed 2 border agents, and they were chasing them, and they come across a guy holding a gun, then obviously that changes the.
You have no idea who that person is, and if you've already been involved in an altercation.
All right, but then do you guys think that people just shouldn't be down there other than law enforcement or border patrol or whoever? Because I guess that ultimately is what it comes down to.
Well, that's a tricky one, because I honestly think the border agents, and I would venture to say that the majority of the border agents would appreciate the help because they're way funded, undermanned.
I understand. Yeah.
To be able to do the job they need to do. So I definitely think militia, would be the perfect backup, if you will, to be down there and to try to, curb some of these illegals that are getting through.
I think the problem is when there's not enough, like there's coordination between like different agencies or whatever, but a lot of the time it doesn't look like there's much coordination between, let's just say, these volunteers and the people down there trying to help out.
Yeah, it's a thin line between becoming, you know, a vigilante and a militia in this case.
Very. I would highly agree with that. What was the article? Who pulled up the article? Where was their source from? Okay, because I was just wondering. Oh, you got it from ABC News. Okay, because I'm looking at the same one. Border Patrol pursuing a group of immigrants in a wooded area near Texas-Mexico border fired several shots at an armed man who later identified himself as militia member.
Even when groups communicate with each other, one of the prices of different groups communicating is eventually sometimes there is what's called friendly fire. And sometimes that's the price of having different groups interact even if they have the same goal.
Well, hell, even the same group. I mean, think about our U.S. military. There's all sorts of deaths involving friendly fire.
Group.
Right.
It's called the fog of war.
Right. Now, I think there is a resistance with some agencies. I hate this. I want to say all, but I'm not going to say all. To communicate with some of these groups because they feel they're not official, and therefore it's not a good idea to give out operational security details of what you're doing to these unofficial citizens.
That's actually a point I wanted to make myself, is because, I mean, you're a militia, but you're not. You're just a bunch of guys who are operating on the pretense of the militia, and you're not anything official.
Right. No, to clear this up, this militia member was on private property and had permission to be there.
Well, then that makes all the difference.
Well, no, it doesn't. That doesn't make any difference whether he was on private property. No, it doesn't.
I mean,
it doesn't matter if the border agent would have actually shot and killed that guy. It wouldn't have mattered where the fuck he was. You know, the fact of the matter is that border agent should have PID'd his target before firing.
Correct.
That's true.
Let me give a slight analogy, and maybe this is too far off. But let's say you're in hot pursuit of an individual, okay? And you're in a rural area, and you come across into a farmer's field, and you're now on foot tracing this bad guy. And out in the field is this other guy who's carrying a gun. Okay, you're on private property in hot pursuit of this bad guy. You see that this other guy has a firearm, so you draw your weapon and shoot. But unbeknownst to you, that's the farmer that owns the land.
Yep.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I mean, so it's not the farmer's fault that you did that. It's your fault.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. That would be on the border agent to have positively identified his target and not just fire at someone because they're holding a firearm.
Okay. Then I guess we agree. Never mind.
Yeah, we agree. But the fact of the matter is that when you said whether or not he was on private land or public land, that doesn't negate the fact that the border agent should have identified his target before he started shooting.
Oh, yes.
What I'm trying to get at here too is the sheriff of this county, Lucio, or however you want to say his name, said, "We really don't need the militia here." Well, guess what? You don't have the right to tell what people they could, what person can have what people on their property.
Yeah. And
they can have a militia there all they want.
Well, and the thing about it is, and I don't,
because they don't know who they are. They're the people that were actually they had the altercation with. They were not in communication with each other, and they were not aware of them being there.
They're on private property. They don't have to notify anybody that they're on private property. Do I have to call the cops every time I step outside my house with a firearm?
No, but you can't just say that, dude. Let's be realistic. If you've got a group of armed men, whether or not they're there in good faith or not.
There was only one man in this. He was part of this militia group on this private property. There was not a group of people there. It was just one man.
That's regardless. To say one person versus a group, that's what we're getting at. Is we're not dealing with one person. The broad spectrum of the problem is that the sheriff down there, in the long run, probably sure he'd be willing to accept the help, but there are groups of people out there that are armed. You have armed people in an area that's already plagued with crime, with cartel and other illegal immigrants, hell, even coyotes coming through armed. You don't know who they are. Coyotes can be white. They don't have to be Mexican or any of that. They can even be the farmer involved. It's the problem of the militia down there and not coordinating their efforts with the law enforcement there. You've created a whole nother issue that is just a horrible, horrible thing. It can lead to so many different problems.
Yeah, I think regardless, it would be prudent to give a call to the border agent in that area or whatever local law enforcement and say, hey, look, guys, we're so and so group. We're coming down there. We're going to be on so and so's farm, private property or whatever, and we're going to do our due diligence and protect this area of border. Just give them a heads up. Now, whether or not they're required to do that, maybe not. I'm not sure what the laws are regarding border patrol and all that sort of stuff. But I think if nothing else, it would be.
So
good.
You're taking away our freedom.
Well, no, I don't think
that. Am I taking away your freedom?
How is
it taking away your freedom to?
It's just going to be coordinating between the militia and between the law enforcement. That's just going to make both groups more effective in their goals.
How is it taking away your freedom?
What I'm getting at is you don't have to notify.
Right.
What if you don't have to wear a seatbelt? You don't have to wear a fucking motorcycle helmet. But when you fall and bust your head open, is that taking away your freedom? That's just a common sense thing to do.
You do have to wear a seatbelt.
Yes, you do.
And depending on the state you live in, you may have to wear a helmet.
That's what I'm saying. Well, not all states. So
Wisconsin, you don't have to wear a helmet. But what I'm getting at here is still, what if the difference was just me and a bunch of friends, say 20 friends, were going to my property. We're just going to go out there with our firearms and go out and see if we can hunt down some rabbits or see if we can go, target shoot or something like that. Do we have to tell the militia that we're going to tell the border patrol we're going to be armed on our property?
You're comparing rabbits to defending a human/killing a human life.
It doesn't matter if you get what I'm getting at here is the sheriff has no right to say that. You do not have to notify them.
What you're comparing apples and oranges, Court. It has nothing.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are. It has nothing.
A guy with a firearm, whether he be with a group of friends on this one property or the militia had come in there, there's no difference.
I think what he's trying to say is you may not have to, but it's prudent.
It's not a matter of, and there again, you're comparing two different things. A group of buddies going out to shoot on their farmland is different from an organized militia that's there with a purpose of protecting the border and basically being a de facto border agent in a sense.
They're not protecting the border. They're protecting this guy's private property.
Do we know this for a fact? Or are you just assuming because it was private property?
That's what you have to do when it is private property. You have to assume that they're protecting the private property, not the border.
So you've got a farmer or whatever the case may be.
We'll say that it's most likely it's probably a rancher that's had a whole bunch of cattle going missing.
So I mean,
we don't know the story, but I'm just using this as the example. They might be out there looking for the poachers that are taking, or not the poachers, or the rustlers that are taking the cattle. Just because it happens near the border does not mean it necessarily involves the border.
Well, I think in this situation they specifically said it was militia down there to defend the border, right? Geez. Yeah.
I just think it is interesting.
I'm looking to see, does it actually say they were protecting the border in here? Because I only was able to
Well, he said that he was a member of a militia that had traveled down to the border to, whatever, protect the border, whatever you want to call it. But like his militia that he's a part of traveled down for that purpose. But I definitely think there is a problem or some sort of thing that needs to be resolved, because there's I think it's a good thing to have people who want to help, who want to try to improve the situation down there, but I just feel like there should be a better avenue to kind of manifest that help.
Well, there definitely needs to be something, because if worst case scenario, if that border agent had killed that militia member, that'd be a shitstorm, man. I mean, you can't. It seems like both sides involved would make more sense and be beneficial to everybody involved to be in communication and be on the same page with what their intention is, where their location is, and
that's why I say prudent versus required. It would absolutely be prudent.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
But you're basically taking the sheriff's side then, is what I'm trying to. I'm arguing against the sheriff does not have the right to say that we don't need the militia here. Obviously, you do.
Oh no, I don't. That was never my. Yeah. Man, we were never talking about whether or not the sheriff was right.
Quirk, you're arguing the greater issue versus the specific.
Yes, I'm arguing the greater issue.
Well,
correct.
Well, we're talking about two different things then.
Then what do y'all think about what Quirk's saying? Does the militia need to be down there? Like, should they be involved?
Well, I think the Border Patrol absolutely needs help. The question is, will they accept it, and from who?
Mm-hmm.
And the right of a private property owner, shall not be infringed. He should be able to have Border Patrol agents on his, or not Border Patrol agents, but militia members on his property.
I mean, there's a lot of turf wars, not only in law enforcement, but in just businesses. And a lot of people, even though they can't handle it, don't want other people going on their territory.
Well, I wonder how that would work, because what you're saying, Cork, and I think obviously anybody would have the right to have anybody on their own property. If you're a rancher, call up your buddies and have a freaking bonfire with, whether or not you're militia or not, have a big party or whatever. But when you're talking about a group who's more or less said their mission statement was to come down and help protect the border, where does that fall between,
they're not technically they're not protecting the border. They're actually protecting private property.
Well, I guess if you define it like that, then it's a non-issue. But the fact of the matter is, that's not clearly defined. We don't know if a rancher hired a militia to come down there
as soon as they cross into public land, they go from becoming militia to vigilantes.
Well, that's exactly what I was about to get at, because where do you draw that line? If the part of that border, okay, from Mexico to the United States, goes over a private property's, like they have to cross this private property to get to public land in America, right? You getting the setup here? So there's Mexico, and then there's this little strip of private property, and then if they get through that, then they're in America on public land, and they're here. So you're saying that the militia is going to keep them from being able to cross that section of private property to make it onto public land?
Correct, basically.
Well, that's not true, because there's easements on all private property boundaries, whether it's a utility easement or a public city easement. I have no doubt that there is an easement, or the other thing is what do you call it? Not public right away.
Public domain.
Yeah, kind of a public domain, but that's not exactly the right term either. Where there's an easement from the order that you can use that land for all the purposes you want, but they have the right to go here and yonder as they please, as long as it's for the border. That's a
border patrol, yes.
Right. That it's your land, your cattle can be on it, but they have the right to get across it for the purposes of border patrol.
So that's what I'm getting at. At what point does a militia protecting, quote unquote, the private property turn into like if they're trying to stop people from coming across, aren't they in fact acting sort of like a border patrol agent in the fact that they're hindering people from getting across? I mean, I don't even know like legally if they're allowed to, like what they're like. I guess legally you would be able to stop anybody from coming on your private property.
Correct. If you've
But
got no trespassing signs posted, according to the law, nobody can trespass on there unless trespass on there. Or
But
they
I
face a
wonder if the
penalty.
laws-
I think Texas is pretty strict trespassing laws.
But I wonder if the laws are different when you're talking about being a, almost like an international I don't know, like.
How are you supposed to know when this person crosses a border that they didn't cross the border? They're U.S. citizens across the border there, and they're just crossing back just further downstream.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing.
You can't tell, so you have to treat everybody as if they're the same.
It'd be interesting to know what the law is, like what legal latitude the militia have when it comes to actually stopping people from crossing, whether or not they're legally allowed. Because like hold on, let me finish. Like I'm saying, you can't just shoot someone. Like if I have private property and I have it posted or whatever, and someone's trespassing, I can't shoot someone for trespassing.
No,
So
but you can
what level
go
do they
there and do a citizen's arrest.
Well,
You
you don't know that. You don't know that. That's what I'm saying. It'd be neat to know in that area what
Right.
latitude, what level of
They
what
can,
of force or legal option they have.
yeah, they can tell somebody to leave, and by having that, say a shotgun there, slung across their back, or
Well, I mean,
that's-
obviously we're all speculating here, but they can't. In some towns or cities, you can't brandish a firearm at someone.
Well, if it's slung across your back, it's not brandishing at somebody.
No, well, yeah. I mean, Jesus, dude, you're splitting hairs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not. You can't sit there and point it at them, but having that just there, they know it's a gun, and they know that they don't listen to what you do. There could be further problems.
Yeah, but at some point, what if, like if you're this rancher or you're this militia, and you've got people trying to, cross, and you're like, hey, this is private property, get the fuck off my land, and they turn, they're like, fuck you, we're coming through, we're coming to America. What can you do? I wonder what the law allows you to do to stop those people.
You can detain them.
To America with your 12 gauge.
Yeah, at that point, if I remember correctly, you can actually detain them because they are willfully disobeying posted land.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That'd be neat to know if they extend that to a private landowner to be able to actually detain them, because some states you're not allowed to do that. Some states, if you detain someone, that's kidnapping. So you can't.
Right, and what I know of what's happening, at least with the private properties along the border, is a lot of them are just cutting like the barbed wire fence that do keep the cattle in, and then it just allows cattle to get out because they just cut it and go through. It's costing a lot of the ranchers down there, lots and lots of money every year. I can't remember the number.
So what Robbie's saying, I don't know where Robbie's getting this. Maybe he knows, or maybe he did more research than obviously we have. But Robbie in the chat saying they weren't protecting anything. The militia were there monitoring illegals and calling the border patrol. So it sounds to me, if that's true, that the militia was in fact there to help border patrol, and if they've been calling or been in contact with border patrol, then border patrol would be aware of their presence. And so it sounds like from this scenario where you're in pursuit, you had an incident, and they're pursuing someone, and then this border patrol agent comes upon a single guy with a firearm and stupidly just discharges his weapon without identifying or the target. So
I'm just glad the border patrol agent's a bad shot.
Was anyone aware that in 1903 the definition of the militia was actually organized into the United States National Guard, and that any other militia bodies are not recognized by the government?
Yeah, but regardless, or if the individual is part of a militia, and we're talking about the militia themselves, I think the ultimate conversation goes to private citizens versus people in Border Patrol or people in some sort of law enforcement capacity. Because, like, we're talking. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, I was just because we're talking about legalities and what can that was the subject, and that's what I've been doing. I've been reading through, and I was just wondering if people were aware of that, regardless of what anything else is. It's just I was wondering if.
No, so I missed that? What did you say, that the militia is part of the National Guard?
Militia Act of 1903, which established the United States National Guard as the chief body of organized military reserves in the United States. The original intent of the militia was there was no official military organization, so to speak. The Militia Acts of 1972 were a pair of statutes enacted by the Second United States Congress in 1792. The acts provided the organization of state militias and provided the President of the United States to command the militias in time of imminent invasion and insurrection. So as far as the militias go, any militias that are currently, from what I can gather so far from the little research that I've done, is any militias that are currently not part of the National Guard are not recognized by the United States. They are not official and are looking like they're not smiled upon, so to speak.
Not recognized and illegal, though, are very two different things. You're right, they're not recognized. So?
Yeah. Oh, no, just facts. I'm not trying to...
Well, I'm just trying to figure out, well, of course they're not recognized. They don't receive a check. They don't receive benefits. They don't receive support. They don't receive training. It's all up to the individual group to decide what their parameters are to be. Is it going to be community-based only where they're from, which a lot of them are, or is it going to be county-based or state-based or nationally based?
Yeah. I guess what I was, in the long run, what I was getting at is, since they're not recognized by the United States, what actions can they legally take without any ramifications?
I think they can legally take any action that an individual citizen is entitled to, like just because they're still U.S. citizens, and so
it's the same as, but not greater than, an individual citizen.
Okay. 10-4. Sorry for that.
So what Stone Guy was saying.
No, that's great.
What Stone Guy was saying as far as powers of arrest, that applies to the individual the same as it applies to the militia. If that state authorizes it, then it's authorized. If that state does not, then it's not.
That one I could see, though, as a citizen's arrest, regardless of whether it's a militia or not. I could see a citizen's arrest
are not allowed in all states.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's where you'd have to know.
I'm pretty sure in Texas they are, but I'm not a lawyer in Texas, so.
Let's find out. We have Google. We are the smartest people in the world.
Well, the important point is that they're not allowed in all states, so don't make assumptions.
Yeah, by all means. By all means.
Well, just in general, and I know we've touched on this before, and that's why I was a supporter, or not am still a supporter of the Haas USMC putting this documentary together about militia, because I think that militia in general, there's such a negative connotation associated with it, and to me, I see it as more from my experience and exposure to different people involved in militia and different militia groups in general, that honestly it's just a group of typically well-educated, law-abiding citizens that want to form a community to better their community, and to make sure that the government doesn't overstep its boundaries, and
Yes.
and to provide a network of resources that they could pool together. You know, the whole adage, you know, two minds are better than one kind of thing.
But they vary as widely as individuals as far as what you just said.
Yes, they do. What happens though is the media and entertainment portray a militia member as somebody that's anti-government, out to kill whatever whatever specific race or they hate. That's how the media portrays militias, and that's again it's kind of like how biker gangs are portrayed in in entertainment. They're portrayed as the the 1%er, not the 99%er. I'm sure there are a lot of militias out there that are all great, dandy, and don't do anything bad, and there's a few that are out there that just wants to go out there and kill Whitey.
Just since the question was asked, to answer the question, Texas Code of Criminal Procedure Art, there's a bunch of numbers and references to find it. Peace officer or any other person may, without a warrant, arrest an offender when the offense is committed in the presence or within his view. So, yeah, you can citizen arrest in Texas. Anyways, moving along.
Well, there you go. So as a whole, everybody on this panel, do you guys think that militias are a good idea?
Militias are a good idea in the sense, to me, in my opinion, that for the most part, everybody that I've ever talked to or been involved with or heard about a militia, they don't want a revolution. They don't want anything drastic. They just want the original principles of the United States to be upheld. The Constitution, the laws, the Bill of Rights, everything that is morally and principally sound. I've not met any militia group that is just wild and out there that just want a complete takeover or anything of that sort. They want what's right. I don't see any problems with the militia as long as they stay within those parameters.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as long as the groups are, I support private citizens taking more of the responsibility that we typically put on government organizations. So I mean, if we can get some people who are willing to put in the time and effort and money to get stuff together and get stuff done, then I'm supportive of that.
Yeah. When has the last time you heard negative in the media about a militia? That's a thing. The last time was Ruby Ridge?
What happened to
No,
Ruby?
no, not Ruby Ridge. What's the other one? Waco.
Do you remember the Bundy Ranch, about how everyone was saying how these people
Yeah, that's really recent.
Oh, yeah. Well, I once, the media wasn't even portraying that too negatively.
No,
At least they're not national. Not, the national 5:30 my time news. They talked about it, but they never really portrayed the militia in a negative light. It might have been different on like CNN or Fox or whatever.
Well, on the local news or even just perusing around the internet, it wasn't viewed as it wasn't the prettiest thing in the world. It wasn't so much negative, but it wasn't pretty either, because you have these people over there that are fighting against the local law enforcement, and then you don't know. It's bad for the militia because you don't know who's there to start something or who's there to genuinely do something. Kind of like with what's going on in Missouri right now. You got a bunch of people up there. Mike Brown, the gentleman that got shot by the cop?
Yep.
Yeah. You don't know who's there. They've actually, on record, got a bunch of people who've been arrested who aren't even from that city or that state alone, and they're just there to try and start stuff. They're there for them.
Correct. And that was kind of the case with Bundy Ranch as well, but they did a good job of policing their own, because the guy and that girl that went on to kill those two cops and go to Walmart and kill that concealed carrier.
You can argue with somebody on the phone?
We're actually down there in.
Oh.
Down there at Bundy, but when they found it out, they kicked him out.
Right. Yeah, they were there, and I've heard from other people that were there that I guess, I don't know if you could really call it the organizer, but I guess some of the people that were more in charge of that whole deal asked several people to leave because they could tell, just from their actions, their mannerisms, and their language, that they weren't there with good intent, and so they kicked them out swiftly.
Right.
Yeah.
And
the
I
only
guess
time I ever really hear anything horribly bad, and that's in the entertainment, whether it be a television show or a movie where they talk about the militia and they have all these illegal firearms and everything else.
Yeah.
But again, that's entertainment. That's where the militias get the bad connotation.
just speaking for myself, I have no problem with groups of like-minded people joining together to form various groups, whether it be a militia or any other group of like-minded individuals. But I think they're as wide and varied as the groups, which is why there are some that I think are excellent, and there are some that really concern me. I mean, every year when I go down to my state capital, there's one in particular in my state that I meet these individuals down there, and I listen to them talk to each other and how they talk to each other, and I can tell that, that within their group they're very much, I would consider, the fringe element. They're not there being community supporters for gun rights, which is why I'm down there. I mean, that's just one aspect of why they're there.
Yeah, there's definitely those people often take that fringe or weird element of groups and they make them the identifier. I think that's what the national media tries to do in a lot of cases.
But I'm not going to deny that they're not out there, because they are. I know where they are in my area.
Yeah. I'm going to see if I can pull up this clip and share it internal. I can't share it live, but I'll post it at gun channels. This is the typical type of person the media portrays as a militia member. So let me find that link and I'll be back.
Okay.
You can screen share it?
I think you did.
No, it would be copyrighted material.
What, I mean...
It's Stone Guy's channel.
Huh?
Yeah, it's Stone Guy's channel. He doesn't mind.
He doesn't mind a strike.
Yeah, whatever. Make me bitch slap you. I don't know. I think it's I'm really interested to see this documentary that Haas does, because I'm hoping that, kind of like Ammunition, whenever we get all the episodes of that out there, finally, maybe it'll be a venue for people to get a little more education and maybe have a different opinion on what they typically think.
While we're waiting for Quark to come back, I do have a question on Ammunition. They had released I thought it was either part 1 or whatever they were calling it back in, I think, July, was it? Is there a part 2 to it, or is that it?
Yeah, actually, I just talked to Yeager the other day, and he actually put out an email to the subscribers or the people from Kickstarter, but he promised to have the rest of them out by the end of the year. He ran into some personal things and kind of ceased production or getting all the stuff together. But there's going to be a lot more to come with Ammunition for sure.
I had donated to the Kickstarter and I didn't get an email. That's why I'm asking.
Yep.
All right, it's in the internal and the external, so
they are coming. So sit tight. But yeah, that's why I said I think Haas's would be good. Also.
But to just a little bit off topic, doesn't Michael look a little bit like Matt?
Yeah, a little bit.
Without the tattoos, of course.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, that's the thing, man. It seems like with everything, with every, whether it be militia or just a typical gun owner or, anything, redneck trailer park. I mean, the fact of the matter is, mute whoever's playing that, mute that.
My apologies.
Hello. So anyway, the it seems like the media just finds like the most redneck, hillbilly, uneducated people to fucking interview, and that's what the world gets to see. So
Yeah, that's exactly like I put in there. It's not just, that's a blanket anybody that, is pro Second Amendment, militia type person, whatever. That's who the media portrays. Yeah, and Thin Blue Line, unmute yourself and talk every once in a while.
I've just been listening. I mean, I wasn't really familiar with the whole story about this. I was just paying attention to what y'all were saying.
If you know something, say something. If you don't know something, shut the fuck up.
Or be like me and just put your foot in your mouth because you're stupid.
so
That
better
works.
to remain silent and be assumed ignorant than open your mouth and remove all doubt.
That is true.
All day long. It's been a while since I heard that one.
I am ignorant.
Well, gentlemen, it's late. I got work in the morning.
All right, well,
Michael?
appreciate it. I'll see you next time.
Take care.
Appreciate your time. Y'all be.
All right,
That's
well, what else we got to talk about? Of course, I could probably end it now. It was a pretty good militia chat. It's under an hour.
Yes, it was.
End it before it goes way downhill.
Kind of like last night.
What happened last night?
Warm.
Did I miss it? Shit, do I have to go watch it?
Court, go ahead and send Stone Guy the link. Might as well. We want him to miss all the fun.
Better end it before it goes bad. I'm warning you.
Yeah. Well, that's a good idea. I think that was a good little hour chat, 45, 50-minute chat on militia stuff. So, yeah, let's do that. Let's end it here. Go over to Gun Channels, do the lobby. I appreciate everybody tuning in.
Check out Just Dano.
Thursday night, we got some special guests lined up Thursday, so everybody stay tuned for Thursday night after.
Go Packers
Back Daddy.
Thursday.
So, anyway, we'll see you guys next time.